If you are a Capricorn or a moon in Capricorn like me, I just found out there are some really great things happening if you haven't noticed already. So if you'd like to hear all about it, just keep watching. So as you may or may not know, I have been getting deeper into astrology and more recently over the past year, Vedic astrology, as I feel I have been led by Goddess Astarte when I met her at least a year ago in June. I started having dreams where she would show me aspects of what was happening in the heavens on the dark moon. And so that's when I started making the correlation between the moon and the constellations. The Vedic astrology is a lunar astrology. Western astrology is solar, and I think that we need both. It seems like it's just from India, but it's actually much older than that. It goes all the way back to Astarte and even before. And then we're talking Mesopotamia and Akkadian. So as I was trying to get some information on second Saturn return to make a video on that, I came across something that's been happening called the Sati Sati. The Sati Sati has something to do with Saturn and the movement of Saturn. I don't know that yet. I was going to talk about the second Saturn return and how it affected me. But this is something else. And by God, it seemed to overlap my second Saturn return. I want to talk to you about how it was working in my life, just to give you, an anecdote, a story for it. There's 3 phases of this Sati Sati, and it seems to affect people and their moon. So for people that are Capricorns or have a moon in Capricorn like me, this astrologer said Saturn is no longer going to be sitting on your moon. So I took that to mean wherever Saturn was moving, wherever your moon is, if you're a Capricorn or you have a moon in Capricorn, it's been a very limiting, stressful time. It's caused some anxiety, it's caused some strife, it's caused some limitations or your desire to put limitations upon yourself, which I did, but it all worked out. Let me explain a little bit more. He said, since January 2020, you have been feeling the effects of the second phase of this Sati Sati, where Saturn is entering a certain position and it's affecting certain houses. Well, sure enough, I think it affected everybody because I was hearing about lockdowns in January. In February, thank goodness, because I had been through my second Saturn return, I decided to hold on to my money. I did very little with it. I took a vacation. I moved into a tiny little studio apartment, and I really just recuperated and regenerated. I had 9 months of a second Saturn return. It was bad. I was hours away from being homeless. At the last minute, someone called and said, I want to buy that house. So fortunately, that worked out. So, after about 5 months of taking off to rest and regenerate, I still had to go back to a job that I'd been burnt out on and wasn't paying very much. So I ventured out and I started working a couple days a week, and then I fell and I got hurt. I was taking the bus. I was bound and determined to endure whatever it was, and it got to the point where I was just really making myself suffer. It was not necessary anymore. And finally, in about the beginning of February, it was so cold and I'd gone so far that I hopped on the dealership where I was looking for cars. I had researched for 9 months and I knew what I wanted. Sure enough, there it was, a Toyota Camry. So I went and I bought it. I drove it across town to my assignment for the next 5 days. And then as the rumors were floating around, I was told, your assignments are canceled for the future, call your supervisor. So I lost my job. So not only was the country in lockdown, many people lost their jobs. I was one of them. I have a moon in Capricorn. But because I'd been through my second Saturn return, I was holding on to my money. And even though I bitch and I moan about all that stuff, I was able to live off of my savings for the most part until September. I had a car now that was paid for the first time in a very, very, very long time, and it's a good car. Very, very low maintenance, well built, almost no issues at all. And you know, nothing has really gotten better since 2020. We're now into 2023. It's been over 2.5 years. Things are starting to get a little bit better, but especially for Capricorn and Moon in Capricorn. This is what I'm hearing. Now, if you're noticing this, please let me know, because I've been feeling a change. I've been feeling a lift. Let me tell you what I mean. There was some good luck in the sense that as I returned to this type of work, we got a really good raise. We got a fairly big raise. That gave me more feeling a little bit better about going to do that work. So I was able to start paying for this apartment, which I moved to, after I got the first couple of months paid for. So I did get rental assistance because I had lost my job. So, and I had a car that was paid for. Once you've had your car taken away from you, I think that's a hard lesson. You'll probably realize you don't want that to ever happen again. So now, you know, what was happening was this overlapping energy of this second phase of this Sadi Sati, where Saturn is in its second phase doing its thing, and that lasts for 2.5 years. The good news is now it's coming out of it as of January 24th. It has entered the second house of finance, which they say is Aquarius. Now for me, in my astrology, it's in Taurus. But the second house relates to self-expression, the way we express ourselves, family values, family legacies, the value of money, right? How we think of money, how we treat money, how we use money. But this is presenting an opportunity for those of us who are Capricorn or Moon in Capricorn to have some of the best financial aspects from 2023 to 2027 that we've probably ever had in our entire life. This is what was so exciting to me, because I know that Saturn is the slowest moving planet. It's a planet of delays, and it relates to old age. In my astrological chart, which my mother had done when I was younger, it states that I will bloom. I'm a late bloomer. all of my great successes will happen later in life. Okay, so I'm 63, and you know, I'm an empty nester now, and I'm starting a few things. And I have had some mild successes along the way. But this is a wonderful, wonderful time where we're probably sensing and feeling that there's an opportunity that we can act on. Now, we do have to act on it, and we have to get in touch with ourselves internally so that we can get in touch with it. What is our Saturn trying to tell us about dealing with our finances? The other good news is, he said, it's no longer affecting the 3rd house, the 2nd house, or the 10th house. So everything relating to communications, marketing, relationships, and job and career are going to improve. They're going to lighten up. And around the first week of January, I got an email that we were now also given the opportunity to choose to be paid weekly. And because I've had expenses go up $200, I felt that was a blessing. I keep asking the universe, my gosh, I'm so sick and tired of waiting 30 days. My other paycheck, I'm not really getting the full benefit of now. And I would love to get paid every week. There's several companies now that are aligning with other companies that will let you get your pay at the end of the day. And so we were given the option. They collaborated with Rapid Pay, and so I signed up for it. I can do much more with money coming in on a weekly basis. I have bills coming in throughout the month. And, when I have a Social Security check coming in on the 15th, but I have other bills that are on the 10th or the 14th, it doesn't work. So yes, I can set aside a little bit of money every week by getting paid every week. Now, I'm still having to be very careful with everything else in my life. And Saturn is going to encourage you to do that. And if it doesn't, then you should be trying to make sure you are working on your diet and eating a little tiny bit less, maybe exercising, moving a little bit more, and working more. Saturn is not the planet of abundance. It's the planet of hard work and discipline. And I have been feeling that if I could apply myself just a little bit more, that I could have extra money, which I might use to upgrade my car or plan to invest in the stock market again once it turns around. After it's hit the bottom, get back in and start realizing greater gains than I've ever been able to before. This is what a psychic had told me many years ago. One astrologer said this is a time where our finances could actually go through the roof due to business or investing. So this is wonderful, wonderful news for those of us that are Capricorn or Moon in Capricorn. Now, maybe you know someone who's been struggling. And, when I got this opportunity for the weekly pay, I thought, okay, there's a big hand. It's almost like there's a big hand that's finally said, this is enough. Okay, it's time to give a little bit, open up the valve a little bit, let the water run a little bit, so we can put aside a little bit. I've been going out to do DoorDash just a little bit on the weekends. And like the turtle, little by little, doing those things actually made a difference. It gave me some extra money I needed recently for 1 week. But I can't do it in this winter weather. So I'm feeling the need to reduce my housing expenses. I don't know how I'm going to do it. In the meantime, I am applying myself more and I am working more to capture that extra money and get paid now coming up here on February 6th every week. And my first check will be the following week on the 15th, which will be 3 years from the day that I lost my job. So this 2.5 years that he was talking about, give or take a few months, see, you're going to start seeing or feeling something happening. Now this also could bring within this next year or two a raise, a bonus. If you're starting a business, it will start to really grow. If you've saved enough money to put back into the stock market, then you'll start to really see gains. Similar to what happened in 2010, after the contraction in 2008. There are things that are, of course, very, very different from that right now. The residual effects of the pandemic, to me, are more severe than what happened maybe, I think, in 2008. But there is an opportunity here. Now, Saturn is also about introspection. It's going to encourage you, and you're going to need to have a practice of finding a quiet time where you can strengthen your intuition and be guided by whatever it is that Saturn wants you to do to take advantage of this opportunity. Saturn comes back into our lives several times to ask us, what have you learned, right? And what are you made of? It wants us to look at every single thing we've done in the past, seen in the past, heard in the past, and even the mistakes we've made in the past. And this could be regarding finances or family values. You may be re-examining the values your parents had and they're not yours anymore. Or habits they had that you adopted and you realize, I gotta let go of that, that's not good, for example. Now, in regards to health, we have to watch out for our eyes, our teeth, our bones, our knees, and our weight. We have to make sure we're not overeating, overindulging. Now, for spiritual practice, again, taking the idea that introspection is good, and you're going to need it, because if you do not focus and keep your nose to the grindstone and plan, like I've been writing out a chart, write out your goals, create a chart, keep a list of things for weekly and monthly, and check them off as you accomplish them, then you're not going to probably be able to capture as much with this opportunity that is happening right now. You also, when it comes to karma, because Saturn really wants to give us another chance to correct the mistakes we've made. Now, I've had what I would call learning curves. And because I did the best that I knew how with the money that I got when I got my inheritance, I did that again after I sold my house, and I did better with the money that I had. So, each time Saturn will come and say, all right, let's build on that. That's gone now, but what did you learn? That is the safest, healthiest thing for us to ask ourselves when we have setbacks, when we have regrets. These are lessons, and Saturn comes back to teach us and help us once again make it better. So Saturn is really like the planet of second chances. Now sometimes it feels like it's chewing you up and spitting you out. But I felt like I did not know that I needed to keep working even though I had received an inheritance. And I really didn't work quite enough. If you do not set money aside, like I've said many times, in savings or a CD, or an investment, or just, save your money in an envelope, sit on your money, watch your cash grow for a while, you will be at the mercy of the world, or your family, or your friends, or like I was, almost homeless. Now I have good friends, but they didn't want me to live with them. Initially that was hurtful, but then I realized I just have to trust the process. Now I was reading tarot, and tarot was showing me that there was going to be success. I also worked with some Taurian energy and some star energy. I engraved a talisman. So I had learned about Ganesha, and I'd learned about star energy. Now in the past, I would have worked with Jupiter, but I did something different at that time, and it worked. The other thing they talk about when it comes to karma is what you can do to give yourself some good karma. I gather things up that I can no longer use, haven't used, they're in good condition. I've been doing this for many, many years. And I'll put them in bags, and I'll throw them in the trunk. And when I drive by Goodwill, I will make a donation. So it doesn't have to always be money. So when we talk about karma, to me, it's just life experience and life, what happened? Did we do something not quite right? This is our chance to do something else, to correct it, to make it right, to make it better. The other aspect of this is, developing a skill. This is the third house that's going to open up. So if there's a spiritual skill you'd like to learn, I thought, aha, that's me. I want to really learn more about Vedic astrology. And I think I can do that either on Skillshare, I'm not sure. But he said that is another thing that might be really good for you to do and could turn out to be a wonderful blessing for you in about a year or so. So, I don't know, who knows? In the meantime, you might have some other interest. You might be interested in studying more about Vedic astrology, the oldest astrology system. Now, that is lunar, and the Western astrology is solar. And in my opinion, we should know both. Now, I have here different color candles because I wanted to talk to you about magical remedies. So what can we do to soften the energies of Saturn and bring about some better results? Well, now that Saturn has entered for us anyway, as of January 24th, a much better phase, things are opening up. Things can be easier for us to start preparing for a wonderful chance to market or to invest within the next coming months. A year and a half, he said. Now that to me correlates to a contraction. When we have this economic contraction, this stock market contraction, it lasts about 18 months and we're in it. So we got a good another 12 months to a year and a half, give or take a few months, to go. So preparation. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. There still might be some Saturn influence, that I want to soften. All my years have brought me to know this is a remedy that works, and that is my working with Jupiter. I have worked with Jupiter and Saturn together to win a contest. I actually didn't even know what I was doing. but I was guided to do it. So working with Jupiter since January 1st, and the spirit of money, a spirit called Mammon, I have been receiving phone calls for assignments at a school that pays more money. There are several schools that pay more money. It was hard the first week, but I did it. I did get run down, and I couldn't do the 5th day. But I did get called back to go to that school for another long-term assignment, just as an assistant. So I did that. There was a lot of really good things that came out of that as I helped that teacher. So I made really good money that week as well. On top of my Social Security, I am now getting a chance, which was my plan, to start really making a certain amount of money that I have in my mind from January until June. So I'm on track so far for that. Hopefully that continues. But I had started in January, and I have these gold flakes that I offer, and I have this green candle, and I have the proper essential oil, which is cedar, and every time with the sigil underneath, I lit it in the day for several hours, and at night for an hour or more while I was asleep. I would either get a call in the morning or at night for these assignments. Now that continued until the 27th. So I feel like that really helped soften any negative influence that was still happening with that second Sati influence of Saturn. Why? Jupiter is the great benefic. It is bigger, and it overlaps, right? And it covers and it lessens the effect of the energy of Saturn, bringing the odds a little bit more in your favor. I have said several times, and if you've never seen those videos, I'm saying it again. I know it's true. I know I've seen it. I've won 2 contests this way, and I'm keeping myself ahead financially by doing this. Now, what you could also do is get a dark blue indigo candle for Jupiter. You peel this off, and you put the sigil of Jupiter on there, and you focus on Jupiter and ask Jupiter to assist you and soften, the negative effects of the Saturn influence that might be going on in your life right now, and to help you bring the odds more in your favor. You could also use orange. These are the 2 colors related to Jupiter generally, but also purple. Purple is very much a color for Jupiter. So if you are any other sign that is feeling the effects of Saturn, or you're going through a second Saturn return, those are the magical remedies that I have to give you today. This is what I have used in the past. Jupiter will soften the energies. I'm going to continue to keep Jupiter in my life, because even though Saturn is guiding me, sometimes I choose not to work when I really just need to get a little bit more organized to get things done, and then go to work an extra day. So that's a funny thing that Saturn can do. But it's going to open up the 3rd house where you could learn a skill, at the 7th house where relations can improve, and the 10th house for a job and career. So I'm hoping that I can get some money to advertise to grow my Etsy stores, especially the new one that I've just made I just made another chunky scarf tonight. I have organic incense and organic oils for oil warmers, much healthier than anything else you would buy generally in the store that have chemicals in them. But I have to get probably money to somehow advertise to get people to go to my Etsy store and see those things and buy those things. So this is all I have to say today about the Saturn, Sadi, Sati. Oh, there is the Lord of Saturn, I believe called Shani, and it is a man riding a crow. And rather than looking at the image or a picture of Saturn, they say, put mustard oil or black sesame seeds at the feet of Lord Shani every day to gain the blessings of Saturn. Otherwise, just get in the habit of creating a quiet time so that you can be introspective and you can focus and you can keep your nose to the grindstone and keep putting aside money little by little so that your preparation meets up with an opportunity and we achieve this greatness that we are supposed to be able to capture by 2027. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.